The story starts with Kurose, a first-year high school student, standing in the infirmary holding a broom and forcing a smile. Meanwhile, his classmates leave the cleaning to him once again. They joke around, treating him like he's some special member of the health committee. They call him dependable and laugh, but inside, he feels bad. Kurose is shy and often gets pushed around, yet he hopes to speak up one day. Suddenly, a loud voice comes from behind the curtains, complaining about the noise. It's the scary senior with fierce eyes, and she tells everyone to get out or else. The boys panic and apologize immediately. Kurose freezes because this is the intimidating Himiya senpai that everyone fears. She often hangs out in the infirmary, probably skipping class, so Kurose only sees her occasionally during his duties. While he thinks about this, the scary queen unexpectedly smiles brightly and asks if he's being forced to clean again. Kurose is shocked because she's being so nice to him for some reason. She steps closer and asks why he looks upset, making him blush as he admits he can't handle this anymore. She seems surprised and asks if he's okay. The next day, on his way to school, Kurose reflects on the scary senior who has been oddly kind to him. He remembers how she helped him with cleaning yesterday and suggested they finish it together quickly. He starts to think that maybe Himiya senpai isn't really scary, but then he sees the same boys causing trouble again early in the morning. Suddenly, he hears footsteps beside him, and Himiya senpai yells at the boys for blocking the path. The boys, frightened, run away while apologizing. She calmly watches them flee. Kurose realizes she's just as scary as everyone says and takes back his earlier thoughts. Then she spots him standing there and waves with a smile, asking if he wants to walk to school with her. He freezes again and thinks about how she is always nice to him. So, they walk to school together. Everyone around them stares because they have only talked in the infirmary before, and it feels weird to him. He gathers his courage and asks her why she is so nice to him. She pauses, smiles brightly, and asks what he thinks. The boy feels overwhelmed because it seems impossible that she would feel that way about him. Then she happily says it's because he always cleans the infirmary. He is shocked by her words. Suddenly, she runs toward school and tells him to hurry because the bell is about to ring. He follows her, feeling both disappointed and happy at the same time, because even though her reason is simple, walking to school with her feels like a big win. On the way to school, Himiya senpai suddenly sees a cat sleeping by the road and excitedly calls him to look at it. He smiles and agrees that the cat is cute. Suddenly, two boys rush past and bump into him hard, knocking him to the ground. Senpai shouts at him in worry, and the boys give a quick fake apology and try to run away. The senpai, like a walking threat, grabs one by the collar and makes them apologize properly with her scary glare. The boys panic, give a real apology, and run away again. Kurose tries to brush it off. He thinks that Himiya senpai is really scary after all. She turns to him and asks if he is hurt, and he laughs nervously while saying she doesn't need to worry. But she sees his scraped hand and is shocked when she notices it's bleeding a little. She quickly takes him to a nearby park so he can wash it. Kurose rinses his hand under the tap and screams in pain while the pretty senpai looks for something. She finds bandages and tells him to sit down so she can take care of him. She carefully takes his hand and puts on the bandage. She says it seems painful, and he yells from the sting. Inside, he feels even more embarrassed because her hand is so soft. Her face is really close, and the whole situation feels intense. Kurose feels like he's sinking into puberty when Senpai's eyes lock with his as she finishes wrapping his hand. When she asks if it still hurts, he freaks out and says he's fine, while inside he's still reeling from how close she was. Then he sees the bandage with tiny kitten designs and can't help but think how ridiculously cute it is. At the school gate, a bald teacher shouts at them for being 15 minutes late, lecturing them about being lazy at the start of a new semester. He tries to explain, but the teacher cuts him off, saying he doesn't want excuses. Even worse, he thinks they were acting like a couple in love, messing around in the morning. Annoyed, Senpai pretends she didn't hear him and says his shiny head made it hard to understand. The teacher, now really angry, tells them both to stay after school for cleaning duty. Kurose panics. She got pulled into this even though it wasn't her fault. He apologizes to Senpai, blaming himself for making them late, all while admiring how she isn't scared of the teacher at all. Calm as always, she tells him not to worry since she already gave the teacher a solid verbal hit. Then she smiles brightly, saying that walking to school with him was fun, so they're even. Kurose is left amazed again, thinking that Himiya senpai is somehow both scary and unbelievably cute. The scene changes to their after-school punishment, and it turns out to be pool maintenance. He thinks about how unlucky it feels to be assigned this, and he feels a little bad. Then he notices Himiya senpai's long, beautiful legs. As she walks in front of him, his mood suddenly changes, and he starts to think that being stuck with after-school cleaning might actually be the best thing ever. Senpai tells him to hurry up and clean, and he snaps back to reality, responding in a flustered manner. He remembers that Senpai was late earlier because of him, and this is definitely not the right time to feel happy about the situation. He watches her scrub the tiles and worries if she is upset about having to stay late. She had mentioned that going to school together was fun, but pool cleaning is boring, so he hopes she isn't annoyed. The attractive senpai turns around with a bright smile and calls out to him. He replies nervously. Her smile makes him feel warm as she suggests that maybe this whole punishment isn't so bad. He gets flustered and bows his head like a polite kid, blurting out that he is having fun too. She laughs, and he feels relieved because it means she isn't angry. He thinks again about how kind she is and how she isn't scary at all. He feels excited because today it is just the two of them doing pool cleaning, which means they might get to talk more. His mind starts racing as he admires her. He realizes he doesn't know much about her yet, and he wants to ask about her favorites, what she does after school, and all sorts of things. He even imagines getting a little closer to her as he blushes at his own thoughts. But just when he is lost in those hopeful ideas, a group of boys who also got cleaning punishment arrive at the pool. Instead of working, they loudly complain about how cleaning is terrible and decide to mess around. The poor boy watches them come in and freezes in frustration as he realizes that so many people have shown up and his peaceful moment has completely vanished. He calls out to Himiya senpai, who now looks tense and scary. He starts to panic, thinking that she might be upset because more people have shown up. Kurose tells himself that senpai probably just dislikes being around others. To help her feel better, he suggests they ignore the boys and clean by themselves, but she quickly turns down the idea. His confusion deepens. Did she want some alone time with him too? Before he can figure it out, senpai spins around to face the boys and unleashes her usual fierce threats. They quickly back down and apologize. Only then does Kurose understand why she seemed angry before, and he finally comes to terms with the fact that Himiya senpai is truly scary. The boys finish their part of the pool cleaning super fast and dash home right away. The intimidating senpai stays behind, still looking annoyed, and the mood feels tense. Our guy nervously thinks that they both ended up in a tough spot today. She checks her reflection on her phone, and, in her typical dramatic style, complains about her wet clothes and hair. He worries that she might actually consider filing an emotional distress claim because she sounds so serious. She calmly accepts the situation, ties her wet hair back with confidence, and takes off her jersey. To him, the sight is almost heavenly. After that, she decides to change her mood and concentrate on cleaning. Her wet clothes start to become a little see-through. Kurse notices this and panics inside. He quickly looks away, feeling his mind melting as he has no clue where to focus. He is scared she might think he was staring and imagines that he wouldn't survive her wrath. In a rush, he takes off his jersey and offers it to her to cover up. At first, she looks confused. Then she shields herself with her hand and realizes why he did it. She awkwardly thanks him for being thoughtful and admits that it was a nice thing to do. Kurose tells himself that it's not a big deal, just a little sweaty, and at least they're okay for now. The senpai wraps herself up with his jersey, pulling it up to her nose, and tells him to hurry up and finish cleaning. She asks him to get the bucket, and he nods, thinking that after everything, he's finally alone with her. She beams as she rushes to work, and he can't help but think how adorable she looks. Still, his thoughts wander back to earlier. What did she mean by that, "It's not it"? He nervously calls out to her, asking what she meant before the water splashed on her. She holds the brush in his hands and smiles like a goddess, teasing him that it's still a secret. He protests, shocked and frustrated. She stays quiet, then playfully nudges him with the brush, telling him to hurry and finish. They keep cleaning, enjoying the moment. She sprays him with the water pipe, and he yells while she laughs, clearly having a great time. Later, the panicked boy stands in front of the infirmary door, thinking that cleaning with Himiya senpai was really fun. The changing room is locked and no one is around at this time. So he decides to go into the infirmary for changing. But when he opens the door, he's shocked to see her changing. His eyes go wide and he quickly apologizes before shutting the door. As he tries to run away, Himiya senpai calmly puts a hand on his shoulder. She warns him to forget what he just saw. He yells in fear that he will, but deep down he knows he can't. The scene changes to the next day when Kurose walks down the school stairs with his books. He thinks that he can't forget what happened yesterday. He rushed home after that incident and has no idea what expression to make when he sees Himiya senpai again. Suddenly, he freezes when he spots her in front of him. She's wearing a hoodie and looks really scary. That's Himiya senpai, just as scary and intimidating as always. They walk past each other, and Kurosi thinks he should at least say something. He tries to calm himself down, telling himself to do his best to greet her. He nervously says good afternoon, but she completely ignores him. She doesn't respond and continues walking next to him towards the stairs. Fear floods Kurosi's mind. She's really upset about yesterday, and this is the worst. He thinks about how beautiful she is and feels disappointed, remembering that he had hoped they might have gotten closer. Later, while sitting in class, Kurosi looks sad and wonders if he has been misunderstood in some way. The cute MC thinks to himself that after all, he's just a health committee member and doesn't really have a connection to Senpai. He still can't figure out why the famous scary Senpai is nice to him. It feels unclear and confusing. He recalls her asking if he always does the infirmary clean. No matter what she thinks of him, he knows he needs to apologize properly for making her uncomfortable. He walks to the infirmary, holding the door, wondering if she's in the nurse's office like usual. He sees her sitting there on her phone, and his heart skips a beat. He nervously calls out to her, and she replies in a cute, teasing tone, asking if he's cleaning again today. He's shocked and wonders what's up with her. Stammering, he tries to explain what happened yesterday and asks if she's mad because she didn't respond to him in the hallway. She looks tired, adjusting her glasses, and explains that she forgot her contacts, had her earphones in, and probably didn't notice him. Poor MC is too relieved to say anything. She apologizes for making him worry, and he feels happy that things are back to normal. She calmly says, "Yesterday was an accident, and not your fault." The angry queen teasingly adds that if he doesn't forget it, she'll kill him. Kurosi feels relieved that everything is back to normal. He confesses he was scared she might start disliking him just when they were finally becoming closer. She giggles, playfully teasing him for being so worried about that idea. Kurosi hides his face, embarrassed, insisting that's not true, even as she keeps laughing. The next day, on the way to school, the soft bean MC hears other students chatting excitedly. They talk about a Rhine message and how funny the video was. Kurose thinks about Rhine and checks his phone. As he thought, he has no one to message, just family alerts and coupons. He realizes he still hasn't made any friends since starting high school. He remembers Senpai but quickly shakes off the thought, reminding himself he doesn't know how she feels, and the idea of asking for her contact info makes him anxious. He imagines her teasing him, asking why he wants her contact info. He wonders what kind of Rhine user Haimiya Senpai is. Maybe someone who leaves messages unread, gives a cold shoulder, or completely ignores people. Suddenly, he panics when he feels someone next to him. It's Haimiya Senpai. She says good morning and asks if they should walk to school together. Kurose feels his heart race at how cute they look together. And of course, this happens right when he's thinking about her again. After the incident in the changing room yesterday, he keeps replaying everything in his mind. But now she shows him something funny on her phone and laughs so much that he realizes she doesn't hate him at all. She treats him like any other acquaintance, so asking for her contact info should be normal too. With that thought, he clenches his fists, trying to pump himself up. Then she casually asks if he wants to exchange Rhine. He stops in his tracks. She thinks his quietness means he doesn't want to, and her face changes right away. Feeling anxious, he quickly says that it's not like he really wants to. Deep down, he can't believe he's actually trading Rhine with Senpai. She even reminds him that last time during pool cleaning, he left too quickly and she couldn't reach him. Plus, since they're friends, they should definitely share contacts. The word friends feels like a warm hug to him. He's so excited he can hardly contain himself. They swap Rine with a little ding and she laughs. Senpai sees he doesn't have an icon. He's shy, but also really happy. Now he has Haimiya Senpai's Rhine. He even sees her first name Mio for the first time and he blushes because it's adorable, soft, and just right. But when he looks up, she's the one turning red now. He asks her what's wrong and she brushes it off, urging him to hurry. Then she playfully slaps the top of his head and he stumbles. It's a mix of pain and joy. The scene changes to Kurose walking down the hallway the next day, and he hears two boys talking about Haimiya Senpai. They laugh, saying someone saw her smoking. The rumor surprises him. He tries to ignore it on his way to class, telling himself she might be tough sometimes, but she would never become a troublemaker. Still, the worry lingers. He goes to the infirmary and asks a teacher if Haimiya Senpai stopped by. She casually mentions that Mio was in the courtyard. Kurose gets even more anxious as he rushes outside, repeating that it's probably just a silly rumor. But as soon as he steps into the courtyard, he stops dead. Haimiya Senpai is sitting on a bench with what looks like a cigarette in her mouth and a whole pack in her hand. He panics, thinking she is really smoking. She sees him and casually asks if he wants one, which makes him even more frantic until he finally realizes the cigarette is just candy. She says she's hooked on the crunchy type that looks real. Kurose sits next to her, letting out a big sigh of relief, thinking that anyone who doesn't know her might really think she's smoking. He shares a rumor he heard. She doesn't mind, and says she gets all sorts of rumors, whether they're true or not, and she never really cares. He admits he's relieved because he was worried all morning about her possibly smoking. She playfully picks up the candy like it's a real cigarette and asks what he would do if she actually was smoking. Kurosi panics again, unsure if she's serious, until she laughs and tells him it's just a joke. She finishes by saying, "Smoking underage is totally a no." He asks Senpai if she usually feeds the koi in the courtyard and if she likes them. She tilts her head, looking at the fish, and explains that she doesn't really like them but is more curious about what the fish are thinking or imagining what they might taste like. Kurosi freezes, his mind going blank. He thinks it's kind of scary. For a moment, they just stand there in awkward silence. Wanting to be helpful, Kurosi quickly looks up information about koi and learns how they're supposedly eaten. He blurts out that if you get rid of the fishy smell, the flesh is bouncy and can even be used in soups or simmered dishes. Scary Senpai immediately frowns, flustered, and says she was just joking and doesn't really want to know. She stands up, admitting that her jokes never seem to land with him. Kurose sighs, thinking that jokes from Kansai people are confusing and that some of her jokes are genuinely scary. The scene changes to Kurose with his headphones on when his sister calls for him. He jumps and fumbles to take them off. His oldest sister, Sora, teases him for being so startled and asks if he was watching something inappropriate. She quickly moves on to ask if he's free this Sunday. Kurose sighs to herself, thinking about how stubborn she is. She tells him that a friend canceled their movie plans, and the extra ticket will go to waste if he doesn't go. He suggests that their younger sister Ume could go instead, but Sora points out that Ume is busy, unlike him. Then she directly asks Ume if she is free, and Ume says she has club activities. Kurose wonders what movie it is and finds out it's a really scary horror film. Sora mentions that she has 2 tickets and that Kurose should invite someone. She hints that he is in high school now and should have friends to bring along before leaving. Kurose freezes and immediately thinks of Senpai. They aren't close enough to hang out casually yet, and inviting her seems impossible. He panics at the thought, but then realizes that if she sees him as a friend, it might actually be okay. He remembers the movie is scary, and Senpai is a bit creepy too. A perfect match. He checks his phone and sees a message from Senpai thanking him for adding her. His heart races when he notices she reads his next message right away. He panics even more, knowing there's no going back now. He finally types a message asking if she is free this Sunday and waits anxiously. When she replies asking why, he explains about the extra movie ticket. Her response makes his heart soar, and he feels a wave of relief wash over him. Meanwhile, Senpai is lying in bed, her eyes wide and sparkling as she looks at her phone and smiles. She blushes when she reads the text. It's something unbelievable to her. Soon, the two of them will be going out together, and Kurose knows it will be a day full of surprises.